So last week, I shared my adventure of doing Zumba every day for a month. But while I was doing this daily cardio, I was also practicing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, also known as IF, is the idea of only eating within a select window each and every day. There are different styles of intermittent fasting, but for me, I used what was called the 16-8, which means I fasted for 16 hours of the day and I had a feeding window, or I ate within an 8-hour window of the day. On my schedule, I would break my fast between 11 a.m. and noon and then stop eating between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. There are other styles of fasting that are a little bit too intense for me. Some people do 12 hours on, 12 hours off if they're starting, and the more intense people do 20 hours fasted and 4 hours in an eating window. That one is a little too much for me. It wouldn't work on my schedule. I would be checking the clock every single hour, which is what I thought I would do at the beginning of this. Since we are still in quarantine, I was doing Zumba every day, so I was hungry, but really, once I got the hang of it, my body adjusted. It really wasn't a bad transition. During the first week, I outlined everything on my Google Calendar. I was very particular in organizing my time, when I was going to teach online, when I was going to have my remote classes on Zoom for my brick and mortar kids, when I was going to do my workout, and then of course, when I was going to break my fast. And what I did to kind of trick myself into doing chores is I would tell myself I couldn't break my fast until I either did the laundry, folded clothes, did dishes, vacuums, something like that. So a little chore around the house got done before I broke my fast and had breakfast. Intermittent fasting is in no way cutting your calories. When I would tell my friends and family I was intermittent fasting, they would think I was on some fad diet. What are you cutting out? Are you eating meat? Are you having dairy? They would ask a plethora of questions. Intermittent fasting does not change what you eat and the disciplines of what you choose to put in your body. It changes when you eat, when you are done fasting, when you breakfast or break your fast. So I didn't change anything I was eating during all of this weight loss. For those that are curious, I have gone from 165 pounds to 151.4 pounds as of today. During intermittent fasting, I went from 157.5 to 152. So I lost 5.5 pounds during my Zumba and intermittent fasting month, which I'm pretty happy with considering I was doing a lot of squats, gaining a lot of muscle, and still managing to lose 5 pounds of body fat. It was during weeks 2 and 3 that my excitement wore off. I wasn't really feeling it anymore. I just wanted to eat because I was awake. And honestly, that's when I realized how much food I actually eat out of boredom or stress and not because my body needs nourishment. If I wasn't hungry to eat an apple, but I was dying for a bag of chips, I knew that I wasn't actually hungry. I was just trying to eat because I was doing a mindless task or watching TV or playing a game or sitting out on my beautiful patio. It is hard, especially when you're home. Oh my gosh, so many of my friends have talked to me about how hard it is to stay on a workout regimen and a meal plan and eating various ways while in quarantine, because that's one of the highlights of your day. It's having a meal, which is weird to say. But once I figured out, hey, you're not hungry, you're bored, or a big one, you're not hungry, you're thirsty, it was a lot easier to curb the cravings and wait until my next meal. A lot of times in the morning when I would teach my VIP kid classes, I would finish classes, submit all my feedback, and then have this urge just to eat a big meal. And it happened like day after day. And then finally I realized I wasn't drinking enough water. I would leave my water bottle in the fridge and sometimes forget to take it upstairs. And so what I thought was me being starving hungry was me saying, hey, we didn't drink those 8 hours when you were sleeping and you've just now taught for 2 more hours. So we haven't had any fluids in 10 hours. Fix this, please. And a lot of times if I wasn't bored or stressed, the underlying urge to eat came from just being hungry, but I'm sure you've heard that from so many people. I just wanted to document that I had it as well. The biggest pros of intermittent fasting for me was that I knew when I could start eating and when I could stop eating. And I knew once 7 or 8 o'clock hit, if we were going to watch a movie or play a game night, snacks were not an option. The only time we broke that was on the evening of our 6-month wedding anniversary. We had some ice cream after dinner and it went into my fasting time. But I really didn't care that much because one day isn't going to kill you. The biggest cons of intermittent fasting are when you have a social life, which we don't have right now. For example, if we were going to go out and see our friends or go to a party or a show or the theater and we wanted to have a snack at the theater or dessert with our friends after, that would clearly break into our window. You can move your window if you want, but at least for right now while we are in quarantine, I am sticking to the 16-8, eating at 11 to noon and stop eating around 7 or 8 o'clock. Towards the end end of the month when I was getting really busy trying to pump out more videos on YouTube, and I was also filming videos for my students in my brick and mortar class and doing more Zoom meetings with teachers, I would sometimes be so into my black coffee and water that I would forget to eat. It would be like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm someone who loves food, so the fact that I would ever forget to eat is a huge deal. Notice I just mentioned black coffee. Black coffee, teas, and essentially 0-calorie drinks do not break your fast. So when I would wake up and teach, I would make sure I had my bottle of water and then a can of black coffee. You guys have seen me walk around with the Rise coffee cans. They are wonderful. They are not sponsoring anything around here. I wrote to them the second week of quarantine because I had never heard of them before. I told them I was a teacher and I needed something that would keep me, awake and going because all the Starbucks and coffee shops were shutting down. And my husband and I had developed having coffee dates at home with nitro cold brew coffee. They did send me a 10% off discount. This is not a sponsorship in any way. I'm not being paid to say it, but if you would like to try the coffee brand that I have tried, information on how to get 10% off your order is down below in the description box. If you get the plain black nitro cold brew, it is 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and it will not break your fast. It's honestly what I've been using, and even now that we're in May and I'm trying to get through a couple weight loss plateaus, I am still doing nitro in the morning. It makes it easy, and it also helps me just have something to sip on while I do all of my work in the morning. I do also tend to put a lot of my tasks in the morning, so I have more things to do and more things for my mind to focus on, so it's not, when is lunch coming? When can I go to the kitchen? What's happening? Clearly, you can tell before I have dinner, I'm going to give myself a manicure because, boy, those are looking rough. But I'll even do things like take an online hair braiding class, do an extra hour of emails for my students and teachers, anything that will keep me focused and on my work and not mind in the kitchen will help me out. So again, biggest pros is I know on the calendar when I'm starting to eat and when I'm done eating, and the cons haven't really come into play yet. It's just fighting the cravings, not eating outside of my designated window, and then when we're allowed to go back outside, realizing that it's not always going to be a perfect system. There are going to be some nights that I'm going to want to make chocolate chip cookies or go get some ice cream with friends or family. And I'm okay with that. That's the whole purpose of living life. This is just helping me not snack, because ever since I started putting things into my Fitness Pal, which we'll talk about in a much later video than now, I realized how much of my daily caloric intake was honestly coming from snacking. Like, it was a lot, you guys, a lot. Again, I did lose 5 pounds. I am now down from a size 10 to a size 6 in my clothing. I went out and took some pictures in size 6 pants and a size 6 dress, and I was just floored that that worked. There are still clothes in my closet that kind of fit, but they're a little bit snug, but didn't fit at all before. So I want to say when I get down to like the 145s, I'll try them on again. But right now, as of May 13th on a Wednesday, my starting weight was 165. I am currently at 151, and my goal weight is 135 pounds. If I ever make it to 135, I hope I find that clip to pull up so I can say that I at least said it to the internet. But if you guys have any questions about how intermittent fasting works, the pros, the cons, like my ideas on it, how it's changed over time, let me know down below in the comment section. Again, this is not to change what you eat in any way, shape, or form. It's just to change when. So not what, but when. And honestly, if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. It especially helps you identify actually being hungry and eating out of boredom, which has been a big lifesaver for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have not done so yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. Check out last week's Zumba video, as well as my first month doing keto. I did that for my wedding last year. I'm not currently full-time keto, but when I get stuck in a weight loss plateau, I will go and do 5 days of low carb, and for some reason that pushes me over the hurdle. Again, I'll talk about that in a future video. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. Take care of yourselves, your family, your loved ones, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Just a few short weeks ago, my workout routine looked something like this. I'd drive to the gym for a cardio class, meet up with friends there, and usually get coffee after. But currently that is not an option in quarantine. So I decided to make this my gym.